Donald Trump has made an offer to the world. He will bring peace, a new fruitful era upon us with a new offer to negotiate, to put an end once and for all to all this Russia-Ukraine collusion, all this hoaxing, all this problematic, nefarious activity taking place all across the world. And we're going to get into that today. He posted on True Social. We have updates on what happened with Nord Stream, which is what Donald Trump is responding to. Here's what he said on Truth. He said, U.S. leadership should remain cool, calm, and dry on the sabotage of the Nord Stream pipeline, saying, take it easy, everybody. Says this is a big event that should not entail a big solution, at least not yet. The Russia-Ukraine catastrophe should never have happened and would definitely not have happened if I were president. Do not make matters worse with the pipeline blowup. Be strategic. Be smart. Parentheses, brilliant. Exclamation point. Get a negotiated deal done now. Both sides need it and want it. The entire world is at stake. I will head the group? Question mark, question mark, question mark. From Donald Trump. Wow, amazing. And so Donald Trump has an actual history of negotiating peace deals. We know that he did one previously in the Middle East. And so people are saying to themselves, oh yeah, maybe there should be some sort of negotiated settlement, some sort of negotiated outcome on this. And we talked about that on our morning walk and talk for members, either on YouTube or at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Are there conversations about a settlement? We haven't heard much of that. We've heard sort of it's either total victory for either side. And of course, a victory that is total for either side means that it is a total loss for the other side. And one of those sides has nuclear weapons, and one of those sides has threatened to use them. And so we've been asking ourselves, what is going on? Who was responsible for the sabotage of the Nord Stream pipelines? Who was responsible for the bombings, the explosions? There have been multiple countries now that have come out and said that it wasn't something that happened naturally. It wasn't a boat anchor that was dragging across the bottom of the Baltic Sea. No, it looks like it was intentional. It looks like it was done by a nation state, some nation state with enough capacity to get out there and actually move a submarine around and have a team execute an operation like this. And so while the world is speculating about who may be responsible for the bombing of the Nord Stream pipeline, we're turning our attention over to the United States because Joe Biden had said previously that he was going to ensure one way or another that the Nord Stream pipelines would not move forward if Russia invaded. Similar statement came out from Victoria Nuland out from the State Department. This is Antony Blinken, the United States Secretary of State, responding to the explosions on the Nord Stream pipeline, saying, we're still investigating all of this and we'll let you know what we find.
On the question on energy security and Nord Stream in particular, a few things. The leaks are under investigation.
Okay.
There are initial reports indicating that this may be the result of an attack or some kind of sabotage, but these are initial reports and we haven't confirmed that yet. But if it is confirmed, that's clearly in no one's interest. My understanding is the leaks will not have a significant impact on Europe's energy resilience. And what's critical is that we are working day in, day out, both on a short-term basis and a long-term basis, to address energy security for Europe and for that matter, around the world.
So he says that they are still investigating this, and once they get to the bottom of it, they'll let us know. But a very interesting question came up about interests and whose interests are at stake, who might have a benefit of seeing these pipelines destroyed, who might gain and who might lose. And Antony Blinken said, well, the U.S. apparently doesn't have any interests. He said, if this did happen, it would be in nobody's interests. But I'm not so sure that's accurate because as we heard previously, Joe Biden has said that he wanted the pipeline stopped if Russia invaded. Victoria Nuland said the same thing. So apparently some people have some interest in making sure that it doesn't move forward. But who might that be? Well, we don't know, but we do know that there was another pipeline that seems like it was a competing pipeline that opened basically the same day that the Nord Stream pipelines were bombed. This story comes out from Euronews. You can see they're reporting that the Baltic pipe, the Norway-Poland gas pipeline, opens in a key move to cut dependency on Russia. This story posted September 27, 2022, which is literally the day that one of the pipelines got bombed. So this pipeline is opening the same day that another competing pipeline that caused dependency on Russia explodes. I wonder whose interest those might be in. Leaders from Poland, Norway, and Denmark have attended a ceremony to mark the opening of a new Baltic pipe, a key stage in the drive to wean Poland and Europe off Russian gas. Okay, and you may think or believe or have the position that all of that is a good thing, and maybe it's needed, and that Russia should not have a stranglehold or any leverage over Europe on natural gas or any energy. And I wouldn't even disagree with you on that. But it's very convenient when these pipelines start exploding and we don't know who's taking responsibility for them. And certain members of the European Parliament are pointing their fingers at the United States. It'd be very interesting to know if that is accurate or not. It would behoove the United States government and citizens to know, is our government getting us into a war with Russia by bombing their pipelines, for example? Might be good to know, because we may have a problem with that if that is in fact the case. The pipeline, the new one, is now going to transport natural gas from Norway to Denmark through the Baltic Sea to Poland. It's a centerpiece of the Polish strategy to diversify away from Russia. Going to fill it with liquefied gas terminals central to Poland's plan, and it's working its way all the way through. And when they were celebrating the execution of this pipeline, they were celebrating, and they were specifically celebrating the end of a Russian era. This is a pipeline executive celebrating the Baltic pipeline that was just inaugurated the same day that the Nord Stream 2 pipeline was blown up.
In a move that Europe hopes will ease its energy crisis, leaders have inaugurated a new pipeline delivering gas from Norway to Poland. The Polish Prime Minister was joined by counterparts from Denmark and Norway, as well as EU representatives. It comes at a convenient time, as Europe is trying desperately to find new energy sources, and after Denmark and Sweden's discovery of a massive leak on the Nord Stream pipeline.
Today we are entering a new era of energy sovereignty, of energy freedom, and of enhanced security. One of energy security and also of security in the broader sense of the word.
This completion comes at a time of Russia's brutal war against Ukraine and Russia's manipulation of gas supplies to destabilize our energy market and our economies. So today, we in Europe together are sending a powerful message that Russia will not succeed.
Well, there you go. So the project, you can see it's going looks like it goes into Poland, across the sea, neighboring Germany, and it's very convenient because the Nord Stream pipeline sort of runs perpendicular from Russia down this direction into Germany. Now, the Nord Stream is not on this graph, but if you're following the mouse, you can see it sort of intersects the two. So it's sort of another way into mainland Europe, and very convenient that one of their biggest competitors, pipelines, get to become exploded. Trump offers to settle this all down because it starts to feel a little bit escalatory. We're starting to wonder, is this an allied versus Axis sort of attack? Why would the Russians be bombing their own pipeline that gives them the most leverage in this entire saga? Why would they do that? Well, we don't know. But Trump is offering to negotiate. Jake Sullivan, over as the national security advisor to the Biden administration, gets asked about a potential resolution. We have NBC News asking him, is it possible that we can maybe settle this whole debate, this war between Russia and Ukraine, because things are escalating pretty rapidly. We know that Putin has threatened to use nuclear bombs. We know that Europe is in for a very significant energy crunch this winter. Supply chains around the world are wrecked. They're saying food shortages are going to be escalating as time continues because of the compounding effects of not being able to plant and harvest in a war zone. Can we settle this? Because if it's all or nothing, if it's a 100% victory for Ukraine means a 100% loss for Russia, that may be unacceptable for them. And vice versa. Would a 100% victory for Russia be acceptable to Ukraine? Of course not. But is anybody even talking about a remedy, some sort of a settlement negotiated to stop all of this? Or is it being proffered forward because people already have an end game in mind? And is there going to be an opportunity to solve this? We don't know. Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor, weighs in.
Point. At the same time, he's clearly being seen by many as a war criminal. How do you end a war diplomatically with somebody who is a war criminal and I guess who many people believe has lost his legitimacy? Though, can you not say that until this war ends?
Look, President Biden has not minced his words, as you've seen, about Vladimir Putin and his complicity in the war crimes that have been committed in Ukraine, the atrocities that have been committed in Ukraine. One man chose this war. One man is directing this war. One man is responsible for this war. That man is Vladimir Putin. Now, at the same time, it's not just the German chancellor who has indicated that diplomacy has got to remain on the table. President Zelensky of Ukraine has said before that ultimately, at the end of the day, this war has to end diplomatically. But we have been equally clear, and you heard this from the German chancellor, there's got to be justice. Right. There has to be accountability. And we need to work with the Ukrainians and the international community to bring accountability for the war crimes and atrocities that have taken place. We will not rest until we have done that. That is not an easy feat with a country like Russia, but it is not something we will shy away from.
Okay, so what I take out of that was an initial statement that, Germany wants to see a settlement, and Zelensky even wants to see settlement, and we're all talking about negotiated peace, but only a peace that says that Putin is a war criminal and he is dissolved of everything, right? In other words, it is a settlement that would absolutely never be acceptable to Putin, right? Holding him accountable in international court. And you may say all of that is justified, right? All of it. And you very well may be right. But my point is, in order to bring old Pooty Poo to the table and to get him to sit down, it's a non-starter to a negotiation to say, okay, here's the deal, Putin. We're going to end this war and you're going to get some here, you're going to get some of this and all this stuff, but you're going to be tried in the International Criminal Court and you're going to be thrown out of your dictatorship position and you're going to go to prison for all of your war crimes. No go, right? So it sounds like they're saying, no, we are willing to talk and come to a peace, but not really, because our terms are so unacceptable. It sort of means that there will never be a resolution. And that's Jake Sullivan. He is from Oxford and he is way, way smarter than me. So maybe he knows what he's doing. Only time will tell. But that's the update on the negotiated peace settlement, a very charitable offer from Donald Trump. It just solved this whole thing. Hey, just solve it. Just call over there and say, hey, Putin, hey, Zelensky, hey, figure this whole thing out. Maybe it'll happen one day. We'll have to wait and see.